Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Julie.
So, Julie, you got to interview one of your favorite creators today, or someone that created your all-time pin grail.
Yeah, I got a chance to interview Anna, also known as All Those Disney Dolls. She made the grandmother willow pin, and I love this pin so much, and I really wanted to know what inspired her to create this pin. So I reached out to her, and I got a chance to interview her.
I'm so sorry I missed the interview, but I can't wait to hear all the things you learned.
Yeah, so if you want to learn a little more, we're about to go on our pin venture. I'm Julie. Yeah, so today I wanted to get a chance to interview one of my favorite pin designers. Your grandmother Willow is my all-time grail. I've only seen it in pictures. And I got this idea of wanting to interview different pin designers. I thought of who do I want to interview? I want to interview like my all-time pin maker. So thank you first of all for making this pin. And I just want to get to know a little bit more about you. So I think one of the things I want to start off with first is quarantine. It kind of sucks. We're all going through it. How are you doing during quarantine?
So I'm considered the at-risk population because I'm disabled. I'm in a wheelchair. I don't know if you knew that. A lot of people don't know that. I'll be in until they say it's safe or until the apocalypse comes, whatever comes first.
Let's hope that's not the case. When and if things go back to normal, what is like one of the first things that you are like, "Ooh, I'm gonna do this"?
Actually, I have 2 Discovery tickets still for Disney. It's probably on everybody's list.
I want to talk about your grandmother willow pin. Was that the first pin that you ever made?
Actually, no. I have a little thing here that hopefully you can see. Let me see. I put all my pins that I've made. Hold on. Can you see?
Oh yeah, I can totally see it.
So there's little guys down at the bottom.
Oh, they're so cute.
Those were my first ones. And then Grandmother Willow, and then that's the Pocahontas. So, yes. I started with the little guys because, like I said, I collect dolls and they are inspired by Funko's Mystery Minis, but then they're also in the limited edition doll dresses. So I actually had a group for those. I had some really great people who were buying into them, but I just got like so stressed with the whole factory thing and everything. I was just like, I really don't want to do this anymore. So I stopped for quite a while, and then I remember it really vividly. It was Easter, and I was watching TV, and I was just thinking, it's like, there's no grandmother willow pins. I'm like, why are there no grandmother willow pins? So, like, in my head, immediately I had exactly what it looked like. I knew exactly what it was going to be. So I sketched it really quickly on a tablet for the computer. And then it was super messy and gross looking. And then I cleaned it all up and I put it out and I said, hey, is anybody interested in this? And there were a few people that wanted it. So the thing about me is my art is kind of messy because of my disability. I don't know if you can see my hands, they don't really open. A form of muscular dystrophy is what I have. It's also why my voice doesn't work too well, so everybody go easy on me.
Oh no.
It's bad. But yeah, so my art is very sketchy, kind of like not what you would see from these pin makers now. They're all these clean, gorgeous artwork. So I think that people originally were like, I don't know, if we really want this. But I think once it came into production and they kind of saw what it looked like, they were like, oh, okay, kind of like this. I was like, so then it was a lot easier. I sold out, once I got them in hand, I sold out almost immediately. and they were like $35 a pop, not what fantasy pins are now. Because I was just like, I just want people to love my art, so I'm just gonna sell them for, which is what I did, which is fine by me. I'm just happy that people like it, to be honest.
I love your it's not like great, like there doesn't have to be all this crazy like special effects and stuff. Like it's just like peaceful,
Yeah.
kind of. And I'm very much one. I don't know if this sounds stupid, but I feel like I'm kind of one with nature. You know, if I drive an electric car, I work with animals for a living, I try to recycle everything, you know, like, so I love the simplicity of your pin, but it's so beautiful, but it's so peaceful.
So it's funny that you say that because some of my inspiration came from, so I was going through a lot of hard times with my voice and I had multiple surgeries that didn't work and I was really just disappointed and let down. And there's a river like 2 seconds from my house. So I would go and sit in front of the river and just sit there and just listen to the wind and just like, and it was just so peaceful. So that was actually a big inspiration for the pen, was sitting in front of the river, sitting in front of nature, just relaxing, basically. So I kind of pictured myself like in Pocahontas's shoes, like, you know, just being one with nature.
Besides making your own pins, do you also collect your own pins?
Yes, I do. And it's very recent. So I started collecting, I want to say it was like maybe more than 2 years ago. So I started collecting dolls. Like that was my thing, my Disney dolls. That was what my Instagram was about. People know me for that. So I had done that, and I always thought pins were like, I was like, pins are just whatever. I don't really like pins. But then I discovered fantasy pins, and that's what took me over the side. And I was like, oh, these are kind of cool. They look way better than Disney official ones. So I was like,
Yeah.
So that's how I got started with that. I actually stumbled upon the designer mermaids, and I was like, ooh, I want those. And then I find out that they're like impossible. I'm like, oh man. So that was my first introduction actually, was the mermaids. I was like, ooh, those are so cool. So yeah.
And probably one of the most expensive.
Oh yes. Oh, yes. I'm very lucky. I have a pretty nice collection of them, thanks to a very good friend who helps me out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in your collection, do you have like one main collection or a couple of different side collections?
So when I started out, I was doing, my main collections were Pocahontas, obviously, Little Mermaid, Meg from Hercules, Hida, and then Peter Pan. So anybody from Peter Pan. And then I kind of, now it's weird. I have like this giant board that's right behind my door in my collection room, and it's for basically all my Grail series. So I have the tarot cards from Powerline.
Ooh.
I have the Sea Menagerie, I think.
Uh-huh.
And then I have the mermaids, and I have some pops from Yo-Yo on there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of just been my focus, is growing those specific collections. But I still, of course, you know, if I see a Pocahontas pin, I probably can't not buy it because Pocahontas is my favorite.
So much. Do you have like a Grail pin yourself where you're like, oh gosh, like this is something that you really want on your pin collection?
So my Grails are always the designer mermaids. Those are always my Grails. And like I said, I have a friend who helps me out. So my most recent Grail before this past couple weeks was the Merida designer mermaid, like that. I've been wanting that since I started collecting. So I have Merida finally coming soon. So that was my big Grail.
Do you said you have some of the tarot cards. Do you have the Merida tarot card?
The tarot cards are, in my opinion, the best series of fantasy pins that there's ever been. Just because I might be a little biased, I'm in the little group, so I get all of them.
Ooh, okay, that's cool.
But we get one of each. We're not allowed to trade or sell them, obviously, which makes sense. But I just think that she puts so much time and effort into these designs, and it's amazing to see a design of hers go from the beginning stage to the end stage, then all the way through, editing with the factory and all that, and making sure that every little thing is perfect. So I'm amazed by it. I think her name's Milan. I want to say Powerline.
Mhm.
But yeah, that series I think is definitely my favorite as far as artistically, and also I'm kind of super into spiritual like stuff like that. So tarot cards for me, like it was like a no-brainer.
If you were gonna give one piece of advice to like a new pin maker, what piece of advice would you give to them?
I would say start out slow. I would say really be passionate about what you're putting out. So, like, if you're making a design, like I said with Caroline, how long she spends doing her designs, don't just put something out to make a few bucks. Put something out that you're passionate about, that you really like, that you have meaning behind. Take your time on the design, take your time figuring out, what colors you want and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, I think the pins that come out the best are the ones that have a lot of thought and are just like, okay, okay, we get this one out, this one out, this one out, this one out. Just take your time and, do it slow.
It's very, very good advice. If you could go back in time and give yourself any piece of advice, what would it be?
As far as pins go, the thing that I wish I would have known more about would have been printing. Because when I made my three little guys, I did their whole, like everything, no stress is printed. I didn't even know how that was going to turn out. So I definitely would have done a lot more of the fine details in printing, and I think they would have come out a lot better. And I actually have a whole bunch of them drawn out. Like I have them all planned, and I probably would have, finished off the series maybe. So printing is a good thing to know. Print little details.
Now, going through your pins and you designing them, um, do you have any like, oh my gosh, like this went wrong and I totally would have done this differently, or has your pin journey been more of a smooth one?
No, so my first pin, which was the Rapunzel, the mini one, I picked all the colors, and then I get the first sample, and the colors look nothing like what I picked. Her
Oh.
skin was super dark. Her hair was like this muddy yellow, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? Like this looks horrible. So I didn't understand about Pantone and all that stuff. So I did a ton of googling. I came back to my factory with all these different Pantone colors, and I'm like, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. I'm like, fix it all, bring it back to me later. So luckily, obviously they fixed it because I was just so new to it, but it was just so jarring seeing the design filled in and it looked nothing like what it was supposed to look like. So yeah, that was my first pin experience, and I was like so stressed.
But it turned out.
Yeah, it turned
It
out.
has a happy ending.
And it was good practice. It led me up to, even Grandmother Willow obviously isn't perfect, but gave me some, it gave me some good practice.
So I want to go into some Disney questions with you. Do you think you're more of a Disneyland person or Disney World person?
Never been to Disneyland. I wish I had. So I go to D23 every other year, and it's literally right next to Disneyland. Like I have seen Disneyland with my eyes, never been in it. So definitely a Disney World person, but that's only because I haven't been to Disneyland yet. Someday.
So when you go to Walt Disney World, what is your favorite ride?
That's tricky. But I would say Space Mountain. That's the one that I just want to ride over and over and over because I'm a thrill junkie.
What is your favorite Disney movie?
Pocahontas, Mulan, and The Little Mermaid. So at any given time, I can watch one of those and they're gonna make me smile, guaranteed.
What is your first memory of Disney?
So funny enough, my first memory is sitting in my living room watching Disney movies. And what I would do was I would pause the VCR, and whatever was on the screen, I would draw it. So, and I remember this vividly with Pinocchio because I loved Figaro and how cute he was.
Mhm.
I just want to draw him so bad. So I would pause the movies at different points that I wanted to draw, and I would draw them. So that's, yeah.
Aw. So if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Sarcastic, bubbly, and thoughtful.
So I saw on your Instagram page that you have a butterfly tattoo, right? It's a butterfly tattoo.
I do.
What does it represent?
A little over a year ago, I went through something super crazy and life changing and just horrible, all in all. Just very bad. So after that all happened, I kind of had this new mindset, and it was really weird. It was like, you need to do the things in life that you want to do because life is not guaranteed. You don't know when your time's going to come. So I had 2 very small tattoos on my inner elbows. And one of them is a seashell for the Little Mermaid, and the other one is the second star to the right for Peter Pan. But I just love tattoos, and I've always wanted something larger. So it was like after all that happened, and after I kind of realized I need to live my life like now, I decided to get the butterfly. And the butterfly, obviously, I could give you all these cheesy meanings for what it is. It's, rebirth, regrowth. I just like butterflies, to be honest. And then within the wings, if you're a little detective, you can see there's Tinkerbell's, the design of Tinkerbell's wings are in the very top 2 portions of the wings. And then we've got the leaves from Pocahontas kind of wrapping around it. It had to be, I like subtle Disney, like as far as tattoos go. I'm actually going to be adding to it soon as all this craziness is over. And I'm going to be adding a hummingbird, which obviously is very Pocahontas, and some flowers and some other things. But yeah, that's the tattoo. I loved it.
You had talked a little bit about how you started collecting dolls and then you kind of went into pins. And by looking at your Instagram, it kind of is like you're telling a story through the photos that you're taking. So if this is how you're taking your photos, can you elaborate a little bit more on the story that you're telling?
Yes. So taking the photos with the pins is like my favorite thing. When I get a new pin in the mail, I'm like, okay, what do I want to set up? What do I want to put next to it? Basically, what I do is I think of the story. So if you take, I did a picture of the Tinkerbell mermaid, and she has all these buttons and little ribbons and like thread and stuff around her and her pixie dust. So I kind of think of the movie and what environment the character would be in, and then I kind of set the picture to that. As far as like, and with the tarot cards, it goes the other way. I kind of think of, ooh, well, spooky, spiritual, like, what do I want to put for, to match the tarots? So it kind of just depends on what the pin is, but definitely always, I love coming up with ideas for pictures.
What is your day job? What do you do for a living?
Funny enough, I actually got hired during quarantine, which is rare. I'm working to become what's called a behavioral analyst. And you work with mainly kids with autism, is what it is, on specific behaviors and day-to-day tasks that they would maybe need help with learning. But I just wanted to do something that would help other people because I know in that position I would want somebody to advocate for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my thought process behind that.
Well, congratulations on getting hired in such a crazy time.
Thanks.
And it's always good to do something that you love.
Yeah.
Well, Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. It truly was a pleasure and an honor of interviewing you. Like you are the nicest person.
Thank you for you too.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.